Hello and good afternoon. My name is Ghaziabad. I'm from Department of Computer Science from ABES Engineering College. And today's topic is number of steps to reduce a number to zero. Well, from problem solving domain, basically I have taken this problem from Leetcode. As you know, Leetcode is good for different competitive coding or for problem solving approach. Okay, so what problem says all about? Let us see. The problem statement is saying that given a number num, given an integer number num, return the number of steps to reduce it to zero. That means you have given a some number by default number, and you have to return how many steps it is taking to reduce it to zero. And the constraints are if the current number, that the given number num is even. If the current number is even, you have to divide it by 2. Otherwise, means if the number is not even, that means odd. Then you have to subtract it by 1. Okay. So the problem is saying that you have given a number now. Okay. You have to return the number of steps to reduce it to 0. And the constraints are if the number is num even, if num is even, then you have to divide it by 2. And if it is not even, that means it is odd, then you have to subtract it by 1. Okay, let me explain it with an example. This is the first example. The value of num is 14. So if the value num is 14, you can see here this explanation of the steps. 6 output. How? 14 is an even number, as you know. So if the number is even, divided by 2, and we are getting 7 as a result. Now the result is odd, and it's not to 0. The number is not reduced to 0 right now. Okay, it's odd. So in the next step, if the number is odd, subtract it by 1. According to our constraint, if the number is odd, subtract it by 1. So the resultant is 6. Again, whatever we are getting, here it is an even. And when the number is even, divide it by 0. So in the step 3, 6 is an even number. We have divided it by 2. And we are obtaining 3. 3 is again an odd number. And whenever an odd number is coming, subtract it by 1. So after subtracting 3 by 1, we are getting 2. And again, 2 is an even number. And whenever we are getting even, we are dividing it by 2. So here we are dividing in the fifth step, we are dividing 2 by 2 and we are getting 1. And 1 is not an even number. So that's why we are subtracting 1 by 1 and we are getting 0. So this is our final step. So how many steps it is taking? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our output is 6. Again, I'm saying num is a given number. Here it is 14. And whenever the number is even, we are dividing it by 2. And we will check the resultant number. If it is 0, then we will stop there. If it is not 0, we'll check it is even or it is odd. If it is even, we will divide it by 2. And if it is not even, then we will subtract it by 1. So let us take another example. Now the value of num is 8. Now the value of num is 8. So the output is 4. The output is saying the number of steps. Okay, output is number of steps. So 8 is an even number. And whenever an even number comes, divide it by 2. 8 is divided by 2 and we are getting 4 as a result. And again, it is not 0. 4 is an even number. So in step 2, we are dividing that even number, that means 4, by 2. And we are getting 2 again. 2 is again an even number. So that's why we are dividing in the third step. We are dividing 2 by 2. And we are getting 1. And again, it is not 0. It is not 0. So that's why we are subtracting it. 1, subtract by 1, we are getting 0. So total number of steps, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's why output is 4. So these are the two examples for this problem, that you have given an integer number now, integer number. Okay. Return the number steps return the number of steps to reduce it to 0. Okay, we have to return the number of steps. And the constraints are, if the current number is even, divide it by 2. And if it is not even, then subtract it by 1. Right? Now, the constraint. Constraint is saying that the value of num is in between 0 to 10 to the power 6. In between 0 to 10 to the power 6. The approach, I'll discuss this approach in Leetcode. Okay, this is my approach and this is the link. Let me go to the main place. Just give me. So now you can see on your screen problem number 1342. Number of steps to reduce a number to 0. This is the problem I have taken. And the problem statement is same. Okay, the examples are same. Example number 1, in example number 1, the value of num is 14. In example number 2, the value of num is 8. And example number 3, the value of num is 123 and the output is 12. You can calculate it by taking pen and paper. Mechanically, we can solve. You can solve it by taking pen and paper. Okay, constraint is here. Now I have taken this solution in C. Okay, in C language. Now, what is the solution? Here's a function. The name of function is number of steps, and the argument is num. That was we are taking here. Okay. Now, what is my approach? In my approach, I have taken a values of C is 0. I have initialized small c with 0. Okay, that is an integer by type. Okay, and I have taken a while loop. Here it is. This is the while loop, and it will run until and unless the value of num is greater than 0, because we have to return all those steps until the value of num is greater than 0. Okay, so see, I have initialized C because we have to return number of steps. I'm using this C for returning the number of steps. Okay, and num is that value that has taken from the user by test cases. Okay, now if the value is even, that means if the value num is modulus 2 equals to 0. Okay, here it is. By this operator we are comparing if the value that we are getting is even, and this is the code from which we can check. We have taken modulus. If the modulus 2 is getting 0, that means the value of num is even. Then we will divide the num by 2 according to the constraint. Here it is. If the number is even, you have to divide it by 2. So the number is even, then we are dividing it by 2. Otherwise, you have to subtract it by 1. That means otherwise. That's why we have used else in else statement. We are subtracting num by 1. Okay, there are only two cases now. That if the value is even, then divide it by 2, and otherwise subtract it by 1. That's why we are subtracting it here by 1. Okay, and one more thing we are doing here in this while loop. In this while loop, the boundaries from this one to here, from here to here, the boundaries are here. Okay, so in this while loop, what we are doing, we are decreasing the number num, and at the same time we are increasing C++. What is C++? The C was the initialized with 0. In every time this loop will run, the value of C will increment by 1, because it will return the number of steps. Like in 14, if the value of num is 14, it will go to the if statement. 14 modulus 2, that means 0. That means the first condition is true. So it will go in if num divided by 2, 14 divided by 2, 7. That means the value of num is odd. That it will come into this else. 7 minus 1, that is 6. Again even, and so on. I have already discussed this thing. And each time it will learn, the C will increment by 1. Okay. And after all the basic requirements. When the value will come to 0, the value of num will come to 0, then it will return C, that is number of steps. Okay, let me run this code and check it. My code is accepted in case 1. Now I will submit my code and will check that is it good for all test cases or not. Well, accepted. You can see here it is accepted. So here my codes are there for this problem.